into setting up Python in VS Code. I'm going to guide you through step by step, pointing out what extension to install, how to configure what's needed, and share some tips to optimize your development environment. Whether you're a beginner or a seasoned developer, this video will get you up and running in no time. Okay, so let's jump right in. To get started with using Python with VS Code, you have an option to do Windows, but if you have Homebrew, you'll just need to install it using Mac or Windows. But if you are on a Mac, you have a second option to install it using Homebrew. If you don't have Homebrew, you'll just need to install it using this line from the terminal that you see here. And it is the preferred method, so that's what I'll go ahead and do. I'll confirm I have brew installed by typing brew -- version. And to install it, I'll simply type in brew install Python 3. Now to check the version of Python that's been installed, I'll enter Python -- version, and there we go. When installing from Windows, make sure you have the box add Python to path checked. On Windows, you'll want to use this command. Now we used Homebrew to install it, but we could have easily downloaded a package which would look like this and install it. Now the next thing that we want to do is install our Python extension. Now you might be asking, wait a minute, didn't I just install Python? Why do I need to install the extension? Well, what we actually installed before was the Python interpreter. And if you dug into the documentation, you'll start seeing that they refer to it as Python interpreter there, which is essentially the runtime, which allows you to execute Python scripts and a suite of tools and libraries. But what about if you want to do some fancy things like formatting, linting, and code navigation? That's when the Python extension comes into play. And when you install it, it will also install the Python debugger for debugging Python code. And in addition to that, it will also include the extension for Pylance, which is essentially IntelliSense. So I'll go ahead and install the extension, and you can see the extension for the debugger is installed as well as for Pylance. The next thing that you want to do is create a virtual environment. Once you activate that environment, any packages you then install are isolated from other environments. So let me just get started by creating a file that we'll call demo.py, and then just adding a simple print statement. We'll save that and just test it real quick by typing in Python 3 demo.py. Perfect. Now if I wanted to add a package related to Discord, a common approach is to use the pip command. So if I did that, you'll notice that I get this error because we're in a normal folder that knows nothing about the pipe command and can't manage packages from here. But we could solve this by creating a virtual environment. So if I go to my command palette, Command Shift P, I can type in Python create environment or select it as creating a virtual the pipe command and can't manage packages from here. But we could solve this by creating a virtual environment. So if I go to my command palette, Command Shift P, I can type in Python create environment or select it if I see it on the menu as I do here, which then presents us a list of environment types, of which I menu in Python command palette, Command Shift P, I can type in Python create environment or select it if I see it on the menu as I do here, which then presents us a list of environment types, of which I'll choose the first one, Venv. Now we're presented with a list of interpreters that could be used for my project. I'll choose the latest one, 3.12, and you'll notice at the bottom of the screen it's creating our environment, and now at the blue status bar towards the bottom, you'll see our environment is indicated. If you ever needed to change it, you could just click here to change it, but we'll leave it as is. You'll also notice on the left-hand corner, we have a new folder with the extension .vnv for our virtual environment. That includes a bin, include, and lib folder, along with the configuration file. If I try to run this command again, it won't work, but that's just because we now need to essentially refresh our terminal by killing it. I'll open up a new one, Control Tick, and now you can see the difference in the terminal because the prompt begins with .venv. I can clear the screen and now try to run my command for installing Discord, and it seems to be working beautifully, and we can confirm that by going to the library folder, and we could see some Discord folders that's been installed. Prompt begins with .tick. Refresh again lib folder along with the configuration file. If I try to run this command again, it won't work, but that's just because we now need to essentially refresh our terminal by killing it. I'll open up a new one, Control Tick, and now you can see the difference in the terminal because the prompt begins with .venv. I can clear the screen and now try to run my command for installing Discord, and it seems to be working beautifully, and we can confirm that by going to the library folder, and we could see some Discord folders that's been installed. Before I forget, if you like this kind of content, we love it if you hit that subscribe and like button. Really helps the channel out. Now earlier on I had showed you how I executed my Python file just by using a simple command such as this, but there's a couple of things I want to show you. The first is that there's other ways to execute a Python file, such as right here next to the play button. If you hit the drop down, there's a few options to run code, run Python file in dedicated terminal, in addition to a couple of options for debugger. So I can go ahead and run Python file, and that will essentially have the same result, though with a little bit more content in the terminal. The other thing that I want to point out is that you can actually run several Python commands within the terminal by launching the REPL terminal. So if I go to the command palette, Command Shift P, and type in REPL, I'll get this option here to start terminal REPL, and REPL stands for Read, Evaluate, Print, Loop. And you know you're at the right spot when you see the three arrows to the left. And here I could put in some math equation if I wanted. Hit enter, it gives me the answer. And there's a lot more it could do, like what you see here. In short, it's a great way to quickly experiment, debug, or test small code snippets with Python syntax without creating a new script file. And when I'm ready to get out, I can just hit Control D and I'm back to where I was. Now there are a few things I want to show you in respect to code navigation and debugging, but that requires a little bit more. A few things I'm ready to get out, I can just hit Control D and I'm back to where I was. Now there are a few things I want to show you in respect to code navigation and debugging, but that requires a little bit more code. So let's Set that up. Now, because of the extensions and the way that we set up our environment, we have a lot more flexibility to navigate when we have a lot more code. So for example, I can go to one of my methods here, and like many other IDEs, find all references and quickly be able to jump to any other part of the code that I want to examine. The same applies to if I wanted to go onto a class and go to definition, it'll bring me right there. When I'm actually coding, I have that great IntelliSense that gives me information on any object I'm referencing, including functions and attributes. And more importantly, when it comes to debugging, if you recall, when we click this drop down here, we could begin the debugging process with the file here, or debug using a launch.json if we have one configured. Now, I haven't done that yet, but I want to show you the other way to get that done is to come over here to the left-hand pane and click Run and Debug. And here we can come to create a launch.json file, at which point we could choose Python Debugger. And now we get to see all these other Python projects that we can configure a launch.json file for, whether it be Fast API, Django, Flask. But let's go ahead and choose Python file. And here VS Code will give you the most common configuration, which is set up like this. Now, if I wanted to add more configurations for my setup, I can just go ahead and click here, but I'm not going to do that now. Configuring launch.jsons can be a whole video in itself, and I actually do have another video on debugging in VS Code, which is going to be broken up into 2 parts. So if you'd like to have that second part where I focus on launch.json configuration, include demonstrating Python, go ahead and mention in the comments Python launch.json. For now, I want to go ahead and just demonstrate the debugging process by first setting a breakpoint on line 20, and then on the left-hand side, clicking on the Start Debug. The last thing that I want to show you is that a lot of the information that I covered in this video came right from the documentation, which is done very well with lots of visuals and step-by-step information. So check it out to even cover topics that was not covered, such as more details regarding setting things up in Django, Fast API, Flask, topics such as testing, and a lot more. And there you have it. You've successfully set up Python in VS Code. I hope you found this tutorial helpful to work on your Python projects. If you learned something new and enjoyed this video, remember to hit that thumbs up and subscribe, but also definitely leave some questions or feedback in the comments below on any videos you'd like us to make in the future. That's it for now, and I will see you in the next one.
These days, we sometimes forget about the Visual Studio IDE, which stands for Integrated Development Environment. Despite supporting only a handful of languages, it still has a lot to offer to people interested in C# or C++. But where and how do you get started? Hi, I'm Victor, and today on Height Above Sea Level, we'll be taking a tour around Visual Studio. This kind of thing, be sure to follow me on Twitch at Height Above Sea Level, where I do some live coding sessions as well as try and answer some of your questions as best I can. We'll first need to make sure that you have Visual Studio description and green account. Since I already take a look, this is what and the professional 20 speed is looking with more dot, which is a shortcut like I do down here. Click on that.
Video I'm going to be showing you how you can create a virtual environment in Visual Studio Code so that you can install packages such as Discord or Telegram or Pandas in your Python projects. So the very first thing we're going to do is create a new folder somewhere on our computer, and I'm going to name this folder. And this is the folder that's going to contain our Python project. And once you have that folder, you can just drag it into Visual Studio Code. And inside here, we're going to tap on New File and create main.py. And click on Create File. So we can type in our Python code. Now in this example, I'm using Python 3.11, which I've already installed. And in case you don't have a Python interpreter selected, go down here and select the Python interpreter that you want to use. At the moment, if you were to type in something such as print hello, and you were to save and run this, it's going to print hello in the console. But what if we want to use some functionality from an external package, such as from Discord? Usually in a lot of tutorials, you're going to notice that they're going to type in pip install Discord, but in Visual Studio Code, we're going to get this error that the command was not found, and it's going to say pip. So why is that? The reason behind this is that we're trying to install it in a place that does not make sense. Pip cannot be found in the place we're trying to install this. We're just in a normal folder that knows nothing about pip. And this is not where you manage your packages. So what we need to do is first clear everything from here so we can have a nice clean terminal. And next we're going to use a command to create a virtual environment. And this is going to be different between Mac and Windows. So on Mac, you're going to want to type in Python 3. On Windows, you just want to type in Python. But here we're going to type in Python 3 because I'm on Mac. Then we're going to use -m vnv.vnv and then tap on enter, and it's going to create a new virtual environment for us. And you're also going to get this pop-up message down here that says, do you want to use the new environment for your workspace folder? And we're going to click on yes. And it's going to change Python 3.11 to Python 3.11 virtual environment. In case you missed that message and you're still on Python 3.11, you can just tap on this and change it to the virtual environment. Now, does that mean we can type in pip install Discord now? And the answer is no. As you might have noticed, we're still in the same folder. We're not in the virtual environment just yet. Even though we've selected it down here, we need to kill this terminal and we need to start a new one just by running the script again. And this time you should notice that just by running it with the virtual environment, it's going to activate it and it's going to put us inside that virtual environment. So right now it says .vnv and then it has our folder name. And I'm going to clear this once again so that you can see that at this point we can finally install packages because we are inside the virtual environment. So if we type in something such as pip install Discord, it's finally going to install it using pip. And inside the virtual environment folder, there's a library folder and you can actually verify that you've installed it. So here we have Discord inside the folder. And because of that, we can also just import Discord and we can use everything from the Discord package. So now that we have a virtual environment, you can install any package you want. And that's actually all it took to create a virtual environment in Visual Studio Code. So with all that being said, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video.
We have got to the point where literally anybody can build a fully working
you.